Hi everyone and welcome to today's video. I have not done a video like this before, so I'm really excited to give it a try. I'm doing a video like this because I found a junk journaling tool that changed my life. And I'm not trying to be dramatic or anything, but it really has been the best tool for me. So today we are going to talk about it and I'm going to tell you all the pros and then there are a few cons, and I want to be very honest with you guys so you guys can really understand what this tool is and how it works. The tool we are talking about today is the Brother ScanNCut. And this is the model I have. We'll get more into that later, but it does exactly what I just said. You put a paper on a mat, it scans it, and then it can cut it as well. And here's the specific one I actually have. It has decent reviews, and I think everyone uses it for different things. Some people use it for quilting to cut out intricate shapes, or making like 3D boxes, and I was recommended by a few of you guys to get this for junk journaling, and I have found it to be really great. At the end of this video, I will give my official out of 5-star review as well. And if you decide that this tool is worth it for you, I will definitely link it in the description of this video because I would purchase it again if I didn't have it, and I love it, but I want you guys to hear me out about all the details first. Now, the model I have does absolutely everything and more I need it to do. It's one of the cheaper ones. They do range in price. I've seen them be as expensive as $700 before, and that's for the more complicated ones, especially for fabric ones. The one I have is on the lower end of things, and it literally does everything I could ever want. Just something to keep in mind as we keep going. So I do want to show you some of the things I have cut out before. This envelope right here, I used my ScanNCut on, and the difference it makes from the ScanNCut to just using regular scissors is that your paper doesn't get bent at all. It's super precise and just super clean. Ever since I got my machine, I use it to cut out literally everything, and I did use it on these fussy cuts for Valentine's Day, and I was just amazed at how perfectly they worked. As many of you guys know, I design digital junk journal collections, and I can cut out about 30 of those pages in about an hour, which is the biggest time saver ever. If I were to cut them by hand, it would literally take maybe 5 to 6 hours. It's crazy. But moving on, we've heard a lot of positive, and now I'm going to tell you guys some of the things I don't like and walk you through kind of what it looks like to cut out some of these kits. First things first is you're going to want to pull out your ScanNCut mat. Brother makes very specific mats that you're supposed to use with your machine. As you can see here, mine is so well used. I've easily cut over 100 different papers on this mat, and this brings up my first complaint with the Brother ScanNCut. The mats do not last very long. So this is the standard adhesive mat, and it started off super sticky, almost too sticky, where the point where I'd put my paper on and I'd cut it and then try to pull it off, and the paper would rip because it was so stuck to the mat. And then after maybe 50 pages or so, it wasn't sticky enough. And the mats are rather expensive, so I didn't want to go and buy more. To summarize, my first complaint is that the mats don't last very long and they're really expensive to replace. As you can see, the standard mat here it's on sale for $20, which is actually really good comparatively to the normal $30. And you can also get the low tack mat, which is just less sticky. I might try that one in the future. So even though I have this complaint, there is a great way around it. You're just going to need to buy some tape, and as I put on my little paper here, I will kind of press it down. It's really an old mat, so it hardly sticks anymore, but then I will go and grab some tape and secure it on those corners. This method is not my favorite thing to do just because it does add a little bit of time onto my total schedule, but it does work okay. I just go and I snip the corners and then just peel them off and stick them down. I make sure to get especially the corners, and if I feel like it needs it, I'll usually put it on like the sides as well. Definitely an extra step that I don't love, but overall I'm still spending way less time doing this than if I were to hand cut the kit myself. So again, not my favorite thing, but it does work out. And then here's the tool. The kit comes with a lot of tools, but I really only use that little spatula, and that's just to pick the items up, and I also use it to press the paper down as well, and that works pretty good. I really like this tool, and I don't use any of the other ones. Now it's time to let the scan and cut do its thing. So I click scan, direct cut, and then that button, and then start. Well, I don't click start yet, I have to load it in. To load it in, you just place your mat down, and then there's a little arrow button that will just take care of the rest. It just takes a second to load. I'm going to show you guys this part in real time just because it's pretty cool. I was amazed the first time I did this. I was like, how did I not get this machine sooner? So now it's ready to load, and then I just click start and it will scan everything. It takes about 45 seconds for it to scan and then load the image up onto the screen. Once it is loaded onto the screen, it should look like this. You kind of can see the mini paper right there, and you just click OK. And this is where my next complaint comes in. However, I don't know if it's really a complaint because it has its pros and cons, but as you can see, that little tag in the bottom right corner isn't really properly filtered, and so it's going to actually cut into that little tab instead of cutting around it, and I'll try to give you a close-up. So again, I'm talking about that bottom right tab, and this is kind of annoying to me, but it's not a deal breaker. In other words, if you're not scanning an image with extremely defined borders, then your machine is going to have a hard time with it. And so like this one would be okay because the borders are really defined. Same with this one. Almost every single kit I design works fine with this machine, give or take a few items on a page that sometimes just for some reason won't pick up properly. And now it's finally time to see the machine in action. So once it's scanned and I've cropped the image to where I want, I just click OK, and then you click what you want it to do, which is cut, and then you can click start, and you can see the estimated time there is about 3 minutes. So I mean, I don't know the most about this machine, but it'll take a minute and it'll start kind of testing the paper to make sure it can get the right thickness of paper. It has an auto blade, which means it can sense the thickness of paper. I've only used 110-pound cardstock on this. I've never tried it with just regular copyweight paper because I think it would work unless you were using like a super sticky mat, and then I don't think it would work. And for those curious, this is what the machine sounds like. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. I've had this machine for a while and it still kind of amazes me. It might be simple technology maybe, I'm not sure, but to me it's like the most groundbreaking thing ever. We're going to speed up the rest of this video because it does take about 3 minutes to cut out, but if I were to cut this by hand, it would probably take me 25 minutes at least. Now I will unload the mat and then I will take a look at it. I want to show you guys specifically what I was talking about it not being able to sense one of those little tags. So since it couldn't pick up on the border of this specific tag, this is kind of what it looks like. It just cut it all ski-wampus and kind of weird. Sometimes I'll actually just cut out that portion and then let the machine only pick up on the correct tags. And then you grab your little spatula tool and just start pulling it away. This part's super satisfying and fun. It can be a little bit tricky to get that tape up, and sometimes I'll even reuse the tape on my next project. Then I grab my spatula and I just start collecting the pieces. They're all cut so perfectly and I just love it. Here are all the pieces all ready to go. Again, just looking at them, I just love it. They seriously are perfect. When I hand cut these types of things, the papers sometimes get bent. I can never quite get the right shape. I'm always just amazed with how clean these lines are when the machine does it. And we're going to do this process again. I'm going to show you guys with this beautiful new design we just made. This specific kit though, I wasn't expecting to cut very well on some of the tags, and you'll see why. The border is defined, but there are darker colors within. So the cream color is the border, but then there's going to be the black and the red that might detract from what the machine is able to pick up. So I let the machine scan it and then process it. I cropped the image to where I needed it to be. The bottom left shapes, as you can see, it only picked up the rectangle on one of them, and the other four were just like the octagon shape still, which is okay. I was okay with it. There are lots of tutorials from Brother that teach you how to deal with this, and in addition, I didn't really mind when it cut those out. I was like, oh, they'll still be cute, so it was okay with me. Moving on, I got it where I wanted it to go, and then we selected cut and clicked start, and the machine got to work. It just started testing the paper and then cutting around it, and I'm always just amazed. It's so satisfying to watch. But then I just set up my camera and I went and did laundry. Another benefit of this machine is I can do other things while it is cutting. And on this one, I pulled up the paper and you can kind of see where those hexagons did not get cut out properly. So the scanner doesn't pick up on absolutely everything, but I'd say it does pretty good and is still worth my time. And again, it is incredibly satisfying to peel these up, and always wonderful to see that they turned out good. And here they are. Now this page would have also taken me a good 25 minutes, maybe longer, and I would not have been able to do as good of a job. And just to really show you the extent of this machine, I want to show you this method on fussy cuts, because this is where I feel like the machine does the most time saving, because fussy cuts are really unique shapes, really hard to cut with scissors, and this machine does a great job. I am by no means a pro at understanding this machine. I literally only know one aspect. I know it does a lot of other things. So if you guys have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. But it's wonderful because Brother, the brand, has a lot of wonderful resources, videos, and tutorials. So if you ever get confused, they're always happy to help out. And again, I'm happy to help out as well. But I may not be able to fully answer all of your guys' questions. But when it comes to this method, I have learned a lot about it. If you are wondering what I would rate this machine out of 5 stars, I would genuinely give it a 4.8, which is really good because I'm really critical of these things and I want my work to be the best it can. So again, I do have the complaints with the mat and the scanner, but as far as I'm concerned, it's worth any hassle and trouble for the amount of time it saves me. It's also worth the money for me, especially because I own a business and this is where I make my livelihood. So if you do have the money for a tool like this, it's definitely something fun to try out, but it's not a need. It definitely is not a need, especially if you don't do a ton of junk journaling. I am doing it daily and I use this machine several times a week. So for that reason, it makes it worth it to me. And take a look at these owls. They got cut out so perfectly and I am just absolutely obsessed. And thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope I was able to give you some insight on the Brother ScanNCut machines and maybe persuaded you one way or the other. I don't know. It's totally up to you. Definitely something to consider though. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day and we will see you for tomorrow's video, the new February kit.